under 5 minutes, and the ages they dealt with were under 10 years old to 99 years old. They went on 7 calls to the Bristol, and that brings them to 17 calls from January 1st at the Bristol. 2 times they went to Hackensack Hospital, 2 to Newbridge in Paramus, 18 to Valley, and 8 unrecorded calls. Also, the ambulance corps is excited that we are approving resolution number 2023-143 for the Lucas machine, which will help save some lives in Waldwick if, God forbid, they need the machine. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation and Health Committee, Councilwoman Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Registrations are open for the following. The library has an adult craft. They're painting glass votive candles for Friday, April 28th. You can call 201-652-5104 to register. The K through 6 summer camp and grades 1 through 7 summer theater workshop being offered through Midland Park. The registration is currently online. The Waldwick Chamber of Commerce 5K run, that registration is also online. And we have the Waldwick Education Foundation, the town-wide garage sale, which will be April 22nd and 23rd from 9 to 4. You can email waldwickwef@gmail.com for more information or to register. Community Meals on Wheels, for more information or to register, you can contact them at 201-447-8295. Our Earth Day celebration is going to be on Saturday, April 29th at 9 a.m. at Borough Park. Volunteers are needed to do the town cleanup. That's at a 9 a.m. Report. The Waldwick Municipal Pool, online registration opens May 1st. Registration before May 26th to take advantage of the preseason pricing. Waldwick Soccer registration is also open at waldwicksoccer.org. And then Northwest Bergen Regional Health Commission this month is Alcohol Awareness Month. That it says on their Facebook page, each April since 1987, the National Council on Alcohol and Drug Dependence Incorporated has sponsored Alcohol Awareness Month to increase awareness, understanding, reduce stigma, encourage local communities to focus on alcoholism and alcohol-related issues. The observance aims to bring an understanding of alcohol's causes and effective treatments available. The observance is also an opportunity for people to share their experiences with alcoholism, recovery, and offer support to others seeking recovery. We encourage you to join us to ensure that families and communities have the resources, information, and options available to control the crisis of alcoholism. There's also an upcoming event that's sponsored by the Valley Hospital as well as the Mahwah Municipal Alliance. It's an online seminar that's being offered on Wednesday, April 19th. It's in regards to body image issues. Establishing healthy attitudes and habits in today's society can be challenging, especially with the influence of social media. You can join them. The registration is online on Northwest Bergen Regional's Health Commission's Facebook page. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Councilman Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor. So I think we can safely say that the winter is behind us and we were able to get through this winter with minimal saltings and I think minimal amount of snow plowing. So it was a good winter. I think now that the warm weather's here, you'll see you will have seen or will see a lot of hydrant flushing. We started yard waste collection today. I think it was the first day. Just a reminder, you have to have it out by 6 a.m., maximum of 4 containers, no plastic bags. Please don't put it on the ground. They will not pick it up. It has to be in a container. And if you miss the pickup, you can always take it down to the recycling center. There is a bulk collection as well on April 20th, and that's the third Thursday of every month. You have to call to have that scheduled, so please don't forget that. And that's my report this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Our Administrator, anything?
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Our Clerk, Kelly.
Just that we have a number of contracts for the summer concerts on the agenda for tonight. These were the ones that we discussed during the budget meetings that we would have for this year. So that's just, those are the contracts for those. That's all I have.
Thank you. Grant Administrator, Matt.
No report this evening.
Borough Attorney, Craig.
No report, Mayor, but we do have a couple items for closed session.
Clerk, kindly read consent resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Be it resolved that the following resolutions herewith, listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Waldwick, are hereby passed and approved. 2023-139, approval of consent. 2023-140, approval of minutes, March 14th, regular meeting and closed session. Policy votes. A, Waldwick Middle School PSO requests use of the Waldwick Pool for the 2023 8th grade promotion party on June 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. and include lifeguards. B, Chaitanya Badwi requests to use Pavilion A on May 28th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. C, Lauren Bradley requests to use Pavilion A on September 16th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. Akama Baumhart requests to use Pavilion A on May 7th from 12 p.m. to dusk for a confirmation birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. 2023-141, authorizing the execution of an administrative consent order with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. 2023-142, award a non-fair and open contract to Shade Systems for pool shades in the amount of $20,484.57. 2023-143, award a non-fair and open-ended contract to Seal Masters Municipal for asphalt and in the amount not to exceed $10,000. 2023-144, award a fair and open contract to Stryker Medical for Lucas chest compression machines in the amount of $17,522.09. 2023-146, award a contract for the recycling material disposal. 2023-147, authorized contract with the Community Band of Waldwick for $950. 2023-148, authorized contract with Jersey Sound in the amount of $1,600. 2023-149, authorized a contract with Hometown Radio in the amount of $800. 2023-150, authorized a contract with the Moonlighter Swing Orchestra in the amount of $1,400. 2023-151, authorized contract with Tim Geisen in the amount of $500. 2023-152, authorized contract with Christine Spiro Duo in the amount of $500. 2023-154, appointment of the 2023 pool lifeguards. 2023-155, authorization to refund tax overpayment for 100% veteran exemption. And 2023-156, payment of vouchers.
We have a motion and a second to accept. Motion by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mrs. Weber. On the question. Anyone? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I had asked the clerk to pull 2023-145, which is why she didn't read that item. That's for the purchase of computers. We're just waiting for some pay-to-play some pay-to-play paperwork to come in. When we receive that, it'll go back on the agenda for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk, please take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, kindly read resolution number 2023-157.
Waiver of the reading in full of the 2023 municipal budget, whereas NJSA 48:4-8 permits the budget as advertised may be read by its title, providing that at least 1 week prior to the date of the public hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget shall be posted in a public place where the public notices are customarily posted, including the borough website, and is made available to each person requesting the same during said week and during the public hearing. And whereas the Borough of Waldwick has complied with the aforesaid requirements, now therefore be it resolved, the Borough of Waldwick is hereby permitted to waive the reading in full of the municipal budget for the year ending December 31st, 2023.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Scalero, second by Mr. Ritchie. Anyone on the question? Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this is pretty self-explanatory. The budget's a very large document, and we're going to waive reading of the entire budget.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Will the clerk kindly read resolution number 2023-158.
Self-examination of the 2023 municipal budget, whereas NJSA 48:4-78B has authorized the local finance board to adopt rules that permit municipalities in sound fiscal condition to assume the responsibility normally granted to the Director of the Division of Local Government Services of conducting the annual budget examination. And whereas NJAC 5:30-7 was adopted by the local finance board on February 11, 1997, and whereas pursuant to NJAC 5:30-7.2 through 7.5, the Borough of Waldeck has been declared eligible to participate in the program by the Division of Local Government Services, and the Chief Financial Officer has determined that the borough meets the necessary conditions to participate in the program for the 2023 budget year. Now therefore be resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Waldeck that in accordance with NJAC 5:30-7.6A and B, and based upon the Chief Financial Officer's certification, the governing body has found the budget has met the following requirements. 1, that with reference to the following items, the amounts have been calculated pursuant to law and appropriated as such in the budget. A, payments of interest and debt redemption charges. B, deferred charges and statutory expenditures. C, cash deficit of preceding year. D, reserve for uncollected taxes. E, other reserves and non-disbursement items. F, any inclusions of amounts required for school purposes. 2, that the provisions relating to limitation on increases of appropriations pursuant to NJSA 48:4-45.2 and appropriations for the exceptions to limits on appropriations found at NJSA 48:4-45.3 et sec. Are fully met, which means it complies with the cap law. 3, that the budget is in such form, arrangement, and content as required by the local budget law and NJAC 5:30-4 and 5:30-5. 4, that pursuant to the local budget law, A, all estimates of revenues are reasonable, accurate, and correctly stated. B, items of appropriations are properly set forth. C, an itemization, form, arrangement, and content the budget will permit the exercise of the controller function within the municipality. 5, the budget and associated amendments have been introduced and publicly advertised in accordance with the relevant provisions of the local budget law, except that failure to meet the deadlines of NJSA 48:4-5 shall not prevent such certification. 6, that all other applicable statutory requirements have been fulfilled. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be forwarded to the Director of Division of Local Government Services upon adoption.
Do you have a motion? Very good. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Don, second by Mike. On the question, Don?
Thank you, Mayor. Next year, we're going to have a waiver of the reading of the exemption for Kelly. But essentially, you know, in the state of New Jersey, the state oversees municipal governments. There are a lot of rules and guidelines, especially pertaining to the formulation of the budget, the execution of the budget, what goes in the budget, what can't go in the budget. Because we're a municipality in good standing, we could go several years without the state reviewing or auditing our budget formulation and our budget before we introduce it to the public. What we're saying here is that we have followed the state guidelines for what's in our budget in terms of meeting contractual obligations, budgeting items we're required to budget. We've incorporated best practices according to state law, and you know, we're basically testifying to the fact that we have followed state procedures, and in that case, the state won't be reviewing our budget prior to its approval and adoption by the municipality.
Anyone else? Clerk, please take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
This time, we will have the public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget. Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was what we put together? First, before Don does it, I would just like to thank our department heads who were very instrumental in putting this budget together. Between our administrator, Patrick, our CFO, Colleen, our borough clerk, Kelly, our grant administrator, Matt, and our deputy clerk, Tatiana, they worked very hard with all our department heads to get a budget together that we could all work with and try to cut corners here and there, but always giving the service to the borough of Waldeck. I'd like to thank everyone that was part of this. And as we talk about the budget, Don Shalero, who is the chair of the Finance Committee, will do most of the talking, along with Patrick, about our 2023 budget.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this, we talk about this quite a bit, even going back to last year throughout the first third of this year or so. And, it's one of the more important things that we do. So one of the things we said when we introduced the budget, we're actually talking about 4 budgets. We do an operating budget for the borough. We do a capital budget for the borough. We do an operating budget for our water utility and a capital budget for our water utility. We spend most of our time, I think, advertising and talking about our operating budget for the borough. What we have been doing for many years now is producing a budget brochure. You can go online and take a look at this. You can find it here at Borough Hall. But it's a really useful guide because it's a pretty concise 5 pages of what essentially is about a $16 million budget. And it gives you a really nice snapshot. A couple of things that I want to point out from the budget brochure that we'll include in each brochure we do. So you see on the front page, we put up a nice pie chart. The pie chart represents 100% of our property taxes. So essentially what the pie chart shows is where that money goes. And because what we like to remind our residents about is while the borough collects 100% of your property taxes, we do not get to keep 100% of your property taxes, and this tells you where they go. So what we're saying here is the municipality and the library combined make up about 20% of your taxes. The county receives about 10% of our taxes, and the school district receives about 70% of our taxes. So what we're talking about tonight is that 20% that the borough actually controls. A couple of things that, as I was looking through this brochure that I thought was interesting and just wanted to point out to you is, again, just a reminder on the next to last page that the governing body does not know the overall tax rate for the community at this time, as both the school district and the county tax requirements have not yet been finalized. The mayor and council have the authority to approve the local municipal operating budget, the projected municipal operating budget tax rate for 2023. So we're going to talk about that in a little more detail, but it's proven to be a handy guide that we produce year over year. As we said at our last meeting, there's a number of documents we put on our website, and some of them are fairly large and can get a little convoluted unless you spend a lot of time combing through it. So happy to bring that to the residents. So a couple of things we talked about when we introduced the budget in March were some of the challenges that we were faced with. And we reported on this throughout the year as the mayor and council and our staff met several times going back to February and into March. And we spent probably a lot more time, to be honest with you, on reviewing the budget and working the budget than we have in a long time, because we had some unusual challenges to deal with this year. So what you typically see in a budget year, whether it's the town's budget, a business's budget, your budgets in your home, there's always going to be those unforeseen costs where you see things going up a little more than you expect or a little more than usual, but then you're always happy to balance that by other items that didn't go up. Perhaps you saw a reduction in expenses, or were able to kind of even those things out. We weren't so fortunate this year. What we saw was a number of significant items in our budget that went up by double digits. For example, employee health benefits went up 22%. Solid waste collection went up 40%. Solid waste disposal, 11%. Our property casualty and workers' comp insurance went up 10%. And the borough participates in 2 pension funds at the state. They've gone up 21% and 10%. So these were significant items that we have no discretion over. These are our contractual commitments. They're things we have to do. The only thing that we were able to impact, and we've been talking about this for quite some time, is the solid waste collection. We were anticipating a significant increase in 2023. So in 2022, we took steps to help mitigate that by changing our collection schedule and other policies related to solid waste collection. So it's quite astounding that we still realized a 40% increase in that line item. However, when we talk with neighboring communities in Northwest Bergen, some of those communities saw increases of anywhere from 60 to 80% in their contracts with their garbage haulers. So in some ways, we fared a little better than some of those communities. In addition to that, the other challenge we had was in the state of New Jersey, there are mandated caps on both appropriations and taxes, and we found ourselves, even if we could afford to fund these increases and meet our obligations, we had to figure out a way to come up with the revenue for it without exceeding the state tax cap. So these were some of the challenges that we had. We made some significant cuts. We were pretty pleased. We were not required to make more severe cuts than we had. We didn't need to change many more programs than, say, what we had to do with the solid waste collection budget. And at the end of the time, and we'll repeat this at the end, is, you know, we were fortunate that we were able to keep our tax increase at 2.5%. And again, keep in mind that's on the 20% of the budget that we're talking about this evening. 2.5% budget increase, or tax rate increase, is about $56 a year for the average home valued at $424,368, and that is also contained in the budget brochure. Some of the other things we did cut was we received requests for increases in funding. We cut some of those increases. We were able to see a reduction in our salt budget. We made some cuts to our leaf and grass disposal. We were able to do that because of measures we took many years ago to come up with alternate collection options and no longer have that cost. We delayed hiring some staff and filling some vacancies, and then we made a number of other miscellaneous cuts throughout the budget. So that is how we were able to put together the budget we presented last month and that we're going to be voting on tonight and meeting that obligation. Another part of the budget is our capital budget. This is essentially the investment in our community where we contain items like road resurfacing. In our capital budget this year, we're going to be spending over $900,000 on road resurfacing and ADA ramp upgrades. We're going to be rehabilitating and upgrading the Malcolm Street pump. We're going to be putting in EV charging stations in the new parking lot. You're going to be hearing that term a lot, electric vehicle charging stations. We'll be putting in the new parking lot. We're going to be purchasing for the fire department fire truck turnout gear and ear packs. We're going to be doing repairs and improvements to the pool. You've already heard a report on the ambulance corps getting a Lucas machine and doing some building renovations. And we're going to be investing in our Office of Emergency Management program by providing them with a new command and communication vehicle. So those are the major items that are in the budget document you take a look at, some of the things we've been talking about for several months up here, and we're going to be moving forward on. So that pretty much makes up the operating and capital budget for the borough. In regard to our water utility, we are going to see costs associated, and this is fairly normal for our water utility operating budget in terms of operation and maintenance of our system. There are some increased costs there, but we were able to manage those. We're going to be having some additional capital investments in our water utility system beyond some of our normal investments. We have some areas of town that experience water discoloration. So we have put some money in the budget to address that and come up with some solutions to that issue. We're going to be doing some planned maintenance and repairs to our water tanks. It's never a good time to go and find new ways to spend money, but it would also be a bad decision to ignore our infrastructure and let our water tanks fall into disrepair and be even more costly to maintain. One of the things you haven't heard us talk about in our water capital budget for this process is for our new water filtration system. That is because we have found an alternate funding source. We have secured funding through the New Jersey I-Bank. It's the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. It is a combination of a partial loan forgiveness and low-interest loans as well. So that's something we've been working on for quite some time, and we recently learned that the process is moving along nicely and our funding is in place. So again, overall, with all the work we've done and all the things that we were challenged with, we're still pleased and happy to move this budget forward with a 2.5% increase. Like I said, an average of $56 for the average home, valued at $424,368. A lot of work goes into this, starting last fall when our department heads start submitting budget requests and looking at the things that we need in the municipality to serve our residents and to meet the needs of our community. Our staff does a great job not only in putting our budget together, but executing it throughout the year. And year over year, we're able to do these kinds of things. You know, we're fortunate we have reserves that enable us to weather these issues. I think some towns that probably have had financial issues for years might be even a little more challenged this year. So we feel like we're in pretty good shape to work our way through this. We continue to work on solutions to address some of these cost increases and try and mitigate them in future budget years. So proud to present this budget tonight and look forward to its final passage. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else from the council? If not, I close the count. Yes, Mike.
I'll just say a few words. I think I said this when we introduced, and I think Don did a really nice job. So, but it bears repeating. It was a brutal budget this year. I think we walked in with $800,000 in increases we had no control over, so we had to find room for that in our budget. I think that everyone did a really nice job coming in and finding ways to cut the appropriations. I think we did this budget keeping the residents at heart. Trying to keep as many of these services available while also trying to keep the tax increase as low as possible. So, as I said when we introduced this is pretty much a bare bones budget. There's no fluff in here at all, and I'm proud of it. I'm very proud of the work that the mayor, the council, everybody here in Borough Hall, all of the work that was put into put this budget together. So, I look forward to voting for it.
Anyone else? If not, I close the council's comments and open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment? So kindly come up to the microphone and just state your name. If not, I close the public's comments. And would the clerk kindly read resolution number 2023-159?
Sure. Be it resolved that the council members of the Borough of Waldwick, County of Bergen, that the budget herein set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purpose stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorizations of the amount of, do you want me to go through all of these? $8,820,591 for municipal purposes, $81,801 open space, recreation, farmland, and historic preservation trust fund levy, $647,344 minimum library tax, surplus anticipated $2,127,809, miscellaneous revenues anticipated $4,393,080, receipts from delinquent taxes $241,857. Amount to be raised by taxation for municipal proposed $8,820,591. And we go all the way down here. Amount to be raised by taxation, minimum library tax, $647,344. So our total revenues are $16,230,681. Sure.
Do I have a motion in a second? Motion by Don, second by Mike. I guess no more questions, so the clerk kindly take the roll.
Ms. Zaracola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Public hearing would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2023-07?
Sure. Ordinance number 2023-07, an ordinance adding Chapter 68 lead-based paint inspections, Section 68-1 definitions, Section 68-2 inspections, Section 68-3 fees, and Section 68-4 violations and penalties.
Anyone from the council like to comment on this ordinance that was just read?
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is in response to a state law that was passed in 2021 regarding lead-based paint inspections in homes that are rented. So it doesn't apply to single-family home, owner-occupied homes. And what this does is this codifies locally the state law, and it also sets fees and enforcement for the law. So this will be run through our construction code department. I'll handle the application of this ordinance. That's all.
Anyone else? I close the council's comments and open to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? If not, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers required by law. I have a motion and a second. Motion by Mike, second by Michelle. Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2023-08?
Ordinance number 2023-08, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, and a new fire truck and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $4,341,500 to pay the cost thereof, to appropriate Borough Open Space Trust Fund monies, a PSC&G grant, and federal, state, and county grants to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read?
Thank you, Mayor. So, this is another step in the process. Essentially, the first thing we do is review a capital budget. This is to secure funding to make those investments and to have the financing available when we're prepared to make the purchase of the various items in the capital budget.
Anyone else? I close the council's comments, and anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance? If not, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers as required by law. Motion by Don, second by Michelle. Clerk, please take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
You got three more. Would the clerk read ordinance number 2023-09?
Ordinance number 2023-09, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, and a new automotive vehicle, including original apparatus and equipment in, by, and for the water utility of the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $1,306,600 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So, the previous ordinance was to provide funding for the borough's capital improvements. This is to provide funding for the water utilities capital improvements. The first bond for the borough is supported by our tax rates. That's what's going to repay those bonds. The bonds secured by the water utility are supported and paid for by water utility rates.
Anyone else? If not, I close the council's comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment? If not, I close the public's comments, and I ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading and that the clerk be authorized, bless you, to advertise it in local legal newspapers as required by law. Motion and a second. Motion by Mike, second by Michelle. Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay. Two to go. Clerk, kindly read ordinance number 2023-10.
Ordinance number 2023-10, capital ordinance of the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $44,950, authorizing procurement of it, and telecom equipment, Lucas chest compression machines, and AED units, appropriating therefore the sum of $44,950 to be funded through the Capital Improvement Fund
Anybody from the council like to comment on this ordinance? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so, these are items that are included in our capital budget. The difference is these items are being paid for through a capital improvement fund. So in other words, this is money we have on hand. We're not including these under the bond that we're going to be securing to fund the other capital projects. So there's no debt being taken on for these investments.
Anyone else from the council? If not, I close the council's comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment? If not, I close the public's comments, and I call for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers as required by law. I need a motion and a second. We'll go to this side of the room. Don and Katie. Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Our last ordinance. Clerk, read ordinance number 2023-11.
Ordinance number 2023-11, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-12, fixing the compensation, salaries, and wages of officials and employees of the Borough of Waldwick.
Anybody from the council like to comment? Don?
Thank you, Mayor. Essentially, we have various ways where we establish compensation for our employees. Some of our employees fall under one of the two collective bargaining units we have in the borough, and their compensation is set by contractual agreement. The rest of our employees' compensation is set by ordinance. So each year, we review the ordinance and we make revisions based on our borough's needs for all of the employees of the borough that do not fall under one of the collective bargaining units.
Anyone else? I close the council's comments. Anybody from the public would like to comment? If not, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers as required by law. So I need a motion and a second. Mike and Don. Clerk, take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay. Will the clerk read resolution number 2023-160?
This is to authorize the salaries for 2023.
Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Don, second by Michelle. On the question. Don?
That's the shortest resolution she'll read tonight.
That's right.
So the previous ordinance set up the salary ranges for the different positions in the borough. This is the resolution that authorizes specific compensation for the individuals that fall within those salary ranges.
Anyone else from the council? Not, clerk, please take the roll.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Mrs. Weber?
Yes.
Okay. We have no introduction of ordinances.
We do not.
Thank you, Kelly. Unfinished business. Anybody from the council have any unfinished business? Yes.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to mention I attended the PBA Easter egg hunt held on the rain date of the Sunday before Easter, Palm Sunday. It was very well attended. The children all looked very happy, and there were a lot of smiling faces. They all went home with little eggs and prizes, and it was a lovely day. And I wanted to congratulate the PBA on another successful Christopher Goodell PBA Easter egg hunt. I also wanted to offer my congratulations and best wishes to Peter Bernhardt and wish him safety and health as he pursues his career goal of a police officer and protecting us here in Waldwick. I want to mention that the beautification committee met last Saturday at the Christopher Goodell Public Safety Building, and we filled 2 large bags, 2 big brown bags of weeds and dead growth. We dug up some plants and transplanted them in different areas. We will be going back there to thin out some of the vegetation that's there and transplant it over at Veterans Park to make that a little more pretty. We're also going to be planting some seeds that we harvested from a local area. We took their seeds and we're going to be planting them over at Veterans Park, blue and white seeds that flower in the month of March. and it'll look pretty for Waldwick colors. And I wanted to mention that the beautification committee will be at Earth Day, and we're going to be doing a project where residents, children, adults, anyone can stop by our table. We'll be making, they're called seed bombs. It's a mixture with wildflower seeds in dirt and clay, and you could put them around your yard or different locations, and they will grow wildflowers. So we're excited to be helping the borough with their Earth Day event. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business? I just want to remind everybody, we have a lot of events going on in the next couple of months. In May, we have, don't forget, our 15th annual 5K. And then also we have Chuck and his car show that brings in a great amount of people here in the borough. Those events that are coming up, and then look forward to seeing the dates for the concerts that are going to be in Borough Park this year. And of course, the Memorial Day Parade that we brought back by popular demand, Mr. Vivok to handle it for us. Thank you very much. And that's all I have. Anybody else with unfinished business? If not, anybody on the council new business? Nobody new business? Public? Anybody from the public would like to comment? You kindly come up to the microphone, state your name for our record.
Mayor, I sent you an email which you never responded to, and I was wondering if you could respond to it regarding the soccer banner and how I asked why you couldn't put the 1995 soccer.
I never got that from you. But the woman that was here already, we talked to her about it. If someone comes forward and asks us to do it, we will take it into consideration. Nobody came forward. And I didn't get no email from you. I'll look through my emails again, but I didn't get it. Because I always respond, and if I don't respond, I send all my emails to Patrick, to him to respond for me in my
So
in my
what
app.
does that mean, it's dead?
Yes. We were going to put the one banner, not putting a banner up, putting a sign up.
Yeah, well, I just wanted an honorable mention of the 1995 soccer.
You'll have to put that, you'll have to bring it across the floor with the council, and then we'll have to discuss it. But we need proof that they won. You have to tell us all the information about them. Thank you. I'm very sorry you're unhappy with this, but I didn't get your email, and I do not lie, especially to residents of the borough. Anyone else?
Ted Sanzo. Just as the water problem is fixed, when we get the new activated charcoal, the question I have, or if you can address it when the situation arises, inside of it apparently is activated charcoal, which has a life, which means it'll be changed once a year, once every 5 years, whatever it is. I would like to make sure that the cost of that is covered in whatever settlement is agreed upon, because I don't think that the borough, the residents, or anybody else should have to pay the cost of cleaning it up when we never made the profits from the chemicals. If it's done nothing but hurt us, why do we have to pay for our own cure when somebody else made the money? Thank you.
Thank you. I think your hand was up. No, just your name. Thank you.
I actually just have, I think I have like 3 questions.
Sure.
So on the capital budget, one of the things you mentioned was the road resurfacing, and I wanted to know if the schedule is going to be released.
Thank you, Mayor. So the borough contracts for our municipal road repaving through a North Bergen co-op. The co-op opens bids later this month. They're first awarded by Ramsey, who's the lead agency there. So those will be, Ramsey is scheduled to award contracts early next month, and then Waldwick will award a contract to the low bidder later next month. At that time, we'll figure out, once we know who the contractor is, we'll have a pre-con, and we'll get a good idea of when we're going to do paving. I know that we are paving roads near Trap Hagen, And so we've already talked to our DPW superintendent and our engineer, because those are more sensitive areas. You know, ideally, we would have them paved in August, but it's too early to release a schedule.
As part of my concern is that I know that there's certain areas within town that people have issues with the roads. So if you look at like the other side of 17, there's some massive potholes on some of those streets. And my concern is that if there's no schedule released or there's no submission date, then you're gonna have all this resurfacing going, and then you're gonna have residents that just are curious on why their road's not being repaved, but they won't understand that there was a previous schedule or a space of time where they could have submitted their street for consideration.
So specific to that, we already know what roads will be repaved this year. And that is a project undertaken by DPW in the fall, early winter. We're fortunate that they drive every road in the borough on a continual basis, but they make a concerted effort in the fall and winter to visit every road and rank it in terms of those most in need of repaving. That ranked list comes to me and is shared with the mayor and council, and depending on the amount of budget we have each year to direct towards repaving, will determine what roads we're able to be repaved. I do not believe that we are repaving any roads on the other side on the east side of 17 this year.
And another question that I had was regarding the capital budget in terms of the water, the maintenance and operation, right? You were saying that money was put aside for some of the issues in terms of like the yellow water and whatnot, but you just said the money was being put aside for solutions, but are any of those solutions known yet?
So specific to yellow water, it depends which project you're talking about. We did identify 2 areas in town where they deal with discolored water more than other areas. So that is Hemlock and Evergreen Street, both of which are they're dead-end water mains. They're not dead-end roads, but they go into Midland Park, and so at the borough border, those are water mains dead end. It's also on an uphill, which we think is contributing to discolored water in that area. So that's one project that we have allocated money towards. The idea at this point is to create a loop that goes through Midland Park to connect those systems, and that should improve the water clarity in that area. The other one is the east side of 17. There have been complaints in that area of discolored water. Same, at least it's difficult to say exactly what's causing it, but same idea in that there are a lot of dead ends over there. So dead ends mean lower flow, means more opportunity for minerals in the water to collect on the pipes, and in times of pressure changes, those can then contribute to discolored water. So the second project identified was to loop a section of Bergen with the section that comes up West Saddle River Road, and those two, they're about 100 yards from joining. And so the second project will be to join those 2 mains for the same purpose, and to improve circulation in that area with the expectation that it will improve water quality, water clarity.
Is there a time frame that those are?
No, I mean, those will both be projects that are bid out, and so the issue there becomes, especially on Evergreen those roads there off of Monroe, we're going to have to enter into an easement agreement likely with Midland Park. That's going to take some time. Ridgewood Water has the water mains in those streets. We're going to have to coordinate at least with them. That's going to take some time. So those will be longer term projects. And once we figure out exactly how we're going to do it, an engineer has to develop plans. We have to go out to bid. We have to award a contract. Not typically work you're going to do in the winter. I would expect that's work to be done next year. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I make a motion to go into close. By Don, second by Katie.